We had some major breaking news this morning as it has been announced that Christopher Bell will join Sam Hunt Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Mexico City. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to the video. As I just said to Senate, we had some pretty massive and major breaking news this morning as it has been announced that Christopher Bell will join Sam Hunt Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Mexico City. Here's the announcement from Sam Hunt Racing. Gearing up to head south of the border, Christopher Bell is joining the team in the number 24 Mobil 1 GR Supra at Mexico. This is going to be the first time that Christopher Bell has competed in the NASCAR Xfinity Series with a team that is not named Joe Gibbs Racing. Now, of course, he's already made a start so far in 2025 when he competed at Darlington. Unfortunately, was never really a major factor in the second half of the event and fell off. But this is going to be the first time he is with the second team in the Toyota pipeline, because when you think about the Toyota pipeline in Xfinity, you've got Joe Gibbs Racing, that's a top organization, and you got Sam Hunt Racing, that's a little bit down. Now, this is going to be, I believe, the 5th or 6th race we've seen the 24 car out there this year. Of course, Corey Himes made a couple select starts in that car, been pretty competitive in both races that he has ran. And then, of course, if I'm not mistaken, Ryan Truex, I think, drove that car at Daytona earlier in the year, and he was pretty competitive in the event, if I'm not mistaken. This is going to be a really solid opportunity, though, because while I don't think Sam Hunt Racing is as strong of a team as Joe Gibbs Racing is, this team showed some pretty competitive flashes, and depending on who the crew chief is for this car, I do think Christopher Bell will be a factor. I think Christopher Bell is one of the best road course racers. Of course, he did win at Circuit Americas earlier this year. He also did win the Daytona road course in 2021 as well. So I think that road course background is going to play a major role. And I think he will be one of the favorites going into this event. Now, he's going to have some really strong contenders. They're going to have Connor Zilisch. He should be back by that point when we do get there. He is one of the best road course racers in the field. He's been super dominant in the Xfinity Series races at road courses. He, of course, got 2 wins coming at Watkins Glen last year and COTA earlier this year. And then you think about Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane Van Gisbergen is going to drive the number 9 car. I think SVG is one of the favorites going in. He's going to be driving for Junior Motorsports, which is better than Cog Racing. And the Junior Motorsports Xfinity programs are really good at road courses. Look at the speed that Carson Quaffle showed. I think he's going to be a really big factor as well. And I think that Bell will be up there contending. I think Christopher Bell minimum is going to contend for a top 10. And I think he's got a great chance and opportunity to potentially get a top 5 as well. Now, one of the reasons why I think Christopher Bell is running this race in the first place is to get a little bit of experience. Because remember, most of the drivers in the Cup Series field do not have experience at this track. The only ones that are full-time Cup drivers that have experience from racing Xfinity Series back in the day are probably Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. Because Logano did not run at this track, which I would have to think if AM Racing maybe fills a second car, we could see Joe Logano. Or if they run another Ford car, perhaps from like RSS Racing, maybe we see Joe Logano in one of those cars. But the only 2 that have ran at that track that are active full-time Cup guys are Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. Now, Daniel Suarez has experience, I believe, racing there from the NASCAR Mexico Series, and I think he'll have a pretty big advantage racing at the track, so Suarez could be one of the favorites in the event, too. And I do think you're going to see more Cup guys enter this race. Now, Hendrick Motorsports, they have not confirmed that. I don't think they're running the Mexico race at the moment, but I think there's definitely a chance they're going to run it, and if they do, I would not be surprised if Kyle Larson runs it. I know Larson's already ran 3 Xfinity races this year, so he only has 2 more opportunities to run Xfinity, but if they wanted to, it'd be pretty wild if Kyle Larson got the chance and opportunity, or maybe like a Roger Krug or Jake Finch got the opportunity to drive that seat. I think about, RCR. RCR could run a 3rd car. I know Kyle Busch, I think someone has stated they heard that Kyle Busch was going to run the Xfinity Series at some point this year. We haven't heard if that car is going to run anymore. They have the 3rd car for Casey Kane that they ran. Maybe they get Casey Kane to come back and do the race in Mexico. But I think if they were to run a 3rd car, they might give it to Austin Dillon, or they might give it to Ty perhaps, or might give it to Kyle Busch. I do know there's also some talk as well about maybe a Kaulig running a 4th car. Maybe we see AJ Allmendinger behind the wheel of that, but I also think there's a chance that possibly you're going to see someone like a Brock Feeney or Will Brown drive that, considering Brock Feeney's name's been brought up as a big possibility for one of those seats. I think about some of the lesser teams like SS Greenlight Racing. There's probably a good chance that Garrett Smithley is probably going to skip that event, and I would have to think that Carson Hocevar would be the favorite to be tapped behind the wheel of that seat. He drove for SS Greenlight Racing at COTA. He didn't have the best run, unfortunately. He struggled in qualifying, never really had the long run speed, so I think that could hurt Carson if he does run. And there's other Cup guys that I think are going to be interested. I do think you're going to see Daniel Suarez is going to try to run that Xfinity Series event, and I think some drivers from Mexico might might try to jump in. What about Andres Perez? Andres Perez could have a chance and opportunity. There's been some interesting rides that were filed earlier this year that haven't made any starts so far this year, so we might see a second big machine racing car that could be something for like an Andres Perez or someone in the RCR camp. That could certainly be interesting for sure. But going back to Christopher Bell, I think he is going to be one of the favorites for this race, and I think that he'll be one guy you're going to have to watch out for when we get down there next month. I think he is going to be someone. He's been already down the track, did the walk along with Chase Elliott, Daniel Suarez, and I believe Ryan Blaney, if I'm not mistaken. So I do think all those guys may end up entering. Who knows at this point? But I think it's really exciting nonetheless to see that we're going to see Christopher Bell down there. I think he is going to be a big factor. There's going to be some good guys, though, he's going to have to go against, like I mentioned, like Justin Allgaier, Connor Zilisch, Carson Quaffle. Jesse Love was really fast at COTA, so he could definitely be a pretty big factor as well. But overall, I think it's going to be a really fun and exciting race in Mexico. I think if you say what you want to say about the Cup racing at road courses, the Xfinity Series racing at road courses has been really, really fun. And I do think he'll be a major factor to be up front in the event. Because again, I think the Sam Hunt Racing equipment is solid for sure. It's not spectacular by any stretch of the imagination, but I think their equipment is definitely pretty solid. And I think they do have generally a pretty complete team out there. So I think there's definitely a solid chance and possibly that Bell will be a pretty big factor. We're just going to have to wait and see, though. You never know what's going to truly happen at this point and how this team is really going to perform and can they keep that together. That is going to be the key thing. But I'm excited about this. I think it's pretty exciting that some Cup guys are going down there. And I get that some people aren't the biggest fan of Cup guys going down there. And if this was the first time they were going to Mexico, they probably would not have allowed Cup guys to run. But they've ran there before. I get it's been nearly 20 years at this point, but I do think because they've had prior experience, that's why Cup guys are allowed to run the event, and they're not barred from running the event like it was with Chicago, which was the first time they ran there in 2023. You had Cup guys that weren't allowed. I mean, you had Justin Marks who tried to run the Chicago race. Unfortunately, Justin Marks had an engine failure early in the event. But I think nonetheless, it's really exciting to see we have some Cup guys running, and I think Cristobal will have a solid chance and opportunity to be very competitive. I'm excited to see what it can do, and we'll see if Cristobal can be a major factor for the win when we do get to Mexico City later this year. So, that is going to be it for today's special breaking news report on Christopher Bell driving for Sam Hunt Racing. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, and if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. You think Christopher Bell will have a chance and opportunity to pick up the win or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if not, where do you think he finishes in the race? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If any other major news breaks later today, we'll discuss it live on the channel. If not, the next time you're going to see me is tomorrow. We are going to talk more about this news on Christopher Bell. We're going to talk about the Cars Tour broadcast announcement. We'll talk about Kyle Busch being denied a couple opportunities to run the Indy 500. We're going to talk about Harrison Burton driving for Rick Ware Racing as well. We're also going to have the Truck Series race picks for North Wilkesboro as well coming out tomorrow. Then Thursday, we're going to have race picks for the All-Star race. This week, I will have some reactions to Indy 500 qualifying. If Kyle Larson qualifies well, there might be a video on that. And then, of course, on Monday, we'll have a NASCAR news video. We'll have reactions to the All-Star race and the Craftsman Truck Series race as well. We got content coming out. People like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain. The loss of between 2311 and Front Run Motorsports. We're probably going to get some updates on that relatively soon. We're also going to have some content on Junior Motorsports, Eric Almirola, Sheldon Creed, all the good stuff. Sam Mayer as well. We'll talk about all that on the channel in the coming days and weeks as we progress through the rest of the year. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.